scientifically proven that
here's the thing that I propose about this.
Which
and
is weird. I'm sorry.
I'm not an evolutionary denier. I don't really have an opinion on really anything. Does it sound pretty, sound? Yes. But is it the only possibility? No, not by far.
Of course not. But
no, at the same point, there's proof behind it versus, there's a god up there changing everything.
To me, it just makes the most logical sense, and I am 100% of a logical person.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I would pose to that, though, is if we're so biologically close to monkeys because we're on the same evolutionary track, how come human organ and tissue is closer to that of a hog?
Because that's not how that works.
It's not how evolution
people can say that that's not really true that we're that close to monkeys.
To be honest, Dennis, we share 90% of our genome with a banana.
Well, that's because genomes are weird and tend to be very similar amongst creatures of the same, family. I don't know. I forgot the classification system.
We share DNA with bananas.
Yeah, we do.
That means when I eat a banana, I'm a cannibal.
To be honest, the closest living relative to any dinosaur, besides things that were alive during that time period, quote unquote, is
chicken.
A chicken. Yeah.
I know. But that's what I'm trying to say, though, is the genome is weird because of how similar how similar creatures are in the genome. They're completely unrelated almost.
Well, yes, but at the same time, you can trust most of the scientific information about the genome, and because it's actually.
Well, no, I fully believe in the Genome Project. I think it's a great idea.
See, I don't understand how you can believe in evolution or genetics, but not evolution.
No, I never said that I don't believe. What I'm saying is I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Okay, I'm just saying, Dennis.
Yeah.
No,
in general.
No, yeah, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about.
A lot of people do believe in a genome, and then a lot of people say, but evolution can't be real, blah, blah, blah.
Now, I would say that my biggest and only problem with the theory of evolution is we can't go back all the way to the point of, we can't go back all the way to the point of, what happened before the first organism?
Well, yes. But I mean, you can't doubt Darwin's complete study of the birds in the Galapagos. He stayed there for years to study.
I mean, you could, because the point of Darwin's studies, while is scientific in nature, were also his own perception of events as well.
Well, yes, but when other scientists went and did the same thing, they got the same results. That's why it's a theory.
Right. And I get that, but just accepting Darwinism for the sake of Darwinism.
Well, no, I don't accept Darwinism. No.
Oh.
I like evolution as a whole, not just Darwin's.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is people will say, evolution is a Darwinian idea, and that means you have to agree with Darwinian ideas at least to some extent in order to believe in it. And it's yes and no.
There's so many forms of evolution out there.
You learn about the forms of evolution. There's just accidental stuff.
I mean, you guys are talking to a guy who currently wants to go to school for marine biology.
Yeah.
See, I think the most acceptable, the most easy pill for me to swallow in evolution is creatures change to their environment, so it's kind of an obvious
on a daily basis.
Well, that's exactly it. So, given enough time, a creature, say, 1 million years ago is not going to resemble in almost any way, shape, or form its finished product 1 million years later. Mostly because of the fact of reproducing. Most people say that's God's choice, or God did this. God changed. And in which case,
I believe there's a force maybe higher, per se, God that had this. Okay, people need to change and put it in action.
Wait, before that, Dennis, when people say, we couldn't be this this perfect. This can't be an accident. Except we're not. Um,
We're such finicky things. It's unfunny.
Let me put it this
Yeah.
way, though. Compared to all other known life forms, we are the most perfect thing there is.
But aren't we like on a high horse then if we call ourselves perfect?
yeah,
No, we're literally one of the only creatures capable of higher thought. That is not a high horse. That's not a matter of opinion. That is
but it's-
literally the factor that we have been grown enough
But-
intelligence to use
but-
tools and circumvent any of the limitations of our
but
surroundings.
humans can, or monkeys can do that.
But Dennis,
Octopi can.
Okay, why aren't monkeys building skyscrapers?
but Dennis,
Because they're too busy in the hood
Because
fighting
they don't need
over a
to.
welfare check.
forget about
Okay,
the
but
aliens. The aliens.
Oh, the aliens. You're right.
but here's in
Let's
that
bring that
question you said they don't need to. Okay, but why don't they need to?
No,
If we
white
did it
people
and
are
they don't,
alien.
why do we do it?
We
Burn
do
the
it
blacks.
because we need it. It's a need for us. It's always been a need in a human's mind. I mean, if you go back to caveman days, they needed a source of protection. They needed a source of homing.
Okay, but monkeys need a source of protection too. They choose trees rather than to build homes.
Yeah, they choose to
with
climb
their
up
intelligence.
trees. Not even their intelligence.
Well, even before humans were like human, they dug underground.
Good
Well,
for
that's
them.
Like rats.
That's exactly what I mean, though. Is due to evolutionary standards, we have developed in such a way that allows us to have a higher intelligence cap than all other known creatures. That is not a matter of opinion. That is a fact.
What about the
Okay,
orangutans that do a lot of unbelievably intelligent stuff too?
Oh no, I'm gonna give
Okay,
Dennis that.
unbelievably
we do
intelligent by
have-
their
we do
standards,
have
not
the-
by ours.
We do
No.
have like
By ours,
Like-
some scientists have claimed how intelligent orangutans are as a species.
we do have
Okay,
the
but-
we do have the highest like problem solving, and this is proven.
That's what I'm
like-
saying.
The closest is like an octopus, which is the closest thing is like an octopus or a dolphin or something. It's not a monkey.
Probably a dolphin.
It's
I don't want to give it
that's-
to an octopus because octopus.
like I'm legitimately you can look it up.
well, yeah, I know.
That's what I'm trying to say here, though, is objectively to the matter. Okay, putting objective facts to an opinion by looking at the things that we've accomplished and done as a race, as opposed to other species, we are the closest thing to perfection humanly conceivable. We're not flinging shit at each other. We've been able to build infrastructure, societies, solve problems that are light years ahead of any other creature. It's a fact.
Okay, we're the most advanced. I'll give you that. Yes, I'm not gonna say we're perfect, but
We're not perfect. What I'm saying
No, I'm
is,
just
by,
saying,
the,
yeah.
by the scope of advancement, we are the closest thing to perfection that there is.
we could have done better. Genetic engineering.
That's the
Be a
thing about
furry.
advancement is what I'm the whole point of advancement is not we could have done better. It's the end point. You're gonna fuck up when you're trying to move in any direction. It's just a fact of the matter. You know, you're never going to do everything exactly right. The whole point is, did you reach the end destination and did you reach the end goals that you wanted to? If you can say yes, it was a success.
So if I beat my dick so goddamn hard it peeled like a banana and that was my end goal and I died, I would be able to complete my mission.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
You met all requisite fucking goals because you never said in your goal that you didn't want to die.
I'm actually immortal. Every time I beat my dick, I gain 5 years.
In that case, I think I have more years than you, buddy.
And then Dennis,
You'd be
if,
surprised. I came
Dennis,
out of
if I
the
go to
womb
Stout-
jacking it.
if I go to Stout or Eau Claire, then I can come back and visit you.
Hell yeah. But no, what was I gonna?
My mom. Though.
Yeah, without where were we before? How do I feel about a deity? Because this has been brought in many times in this conversation.
Why you?
So-
I believe in
My-
Buddha.
My belief in a god is actually it's kind of a roundabout discussion. So
My belief in a god is that there has to be some form of higher being. Otherwise, the shot in the dark chance that we had to have all of the factors and circumstances fall into place to create where we are now is such a small, minute percentage that it is almost inconceivable in a mathematical scale.
Ancient aliens.
Yeah, but I blame aliens.
Without deliberate intervention at certain points, I don't see a conceivable mathematical way where we could reach the point where we are now.
Yeah, I'd say it was the aliens.
Which species? Because if you're going by a mathematical scale, there could be tens of thousands.
Yeah, I'd say about 27.
You're right.
Now, the funny thing is, if you narrow all those species down, about 5,000 of them would be about as
Alright, my bad.
advanced,
I'm back.
if not more advanced than we are, which is kind of funny. There's actually an equation that goes into it on predicting the both the number of sentient species and then the number of advanced sentient species.
Mm.
And it's basically factored in by taking in the number of observable bodies within our solar system and the things we can see out of it, punching that into a mathematical equation in terms of how big the universe is by our own conception, multiplying that, and then dividing it down by the conditions that would be needed to support life. Yep. There's a huge equation behind it.
I mean, it's okay. If you want a true statement from me, it's wrong of us to think we're the only ones that exist in this world.
Well, here's a quote I'm going to throw at you. Either we're completely alone in the universe, or we're not. And
Once
both
the nigger,
options are
always
quite
nigger.
frankly terrifying.
Here.
Yeah. Uh-oh, I got blasted.
See, you know what I like to think about even more? People are all like, universe this, aliens that, all this stuff. See, we think about space as a concept so heavily, but what about the concept of time? And how
I'd say
that
about 20 minutes.
I don't know. To me, time is like almost an irrelevant thing because most of time is just made up so that we have something to go by. I mean, we only have hours in the day because somebody is like, okay, we need a way to measure our days out.
Well, yes. As a system of measurement, I agree. Time is completely a man-made construction. But how do you separate one moment from the next in terms of human experience?
You don't. It's just all one big experience until you're gone off the planet.
Brazzers.
But that's exactly it, though, is without the concept of time, I can't really pinpoint an event that you've done that's happened or an event that could happen without using a concept of time.
Maybe we should use concepts of time and just live our life day by day.
Well, you see, the problem with that then
But
is...
that's stupid. Time exists on a whether the concept of time is like relative, it still exists to everyone in a measurable thing to everyone. So why would we not track it? That's stupid.
Because we're not niggers fighting over welfare checks.
Exactly. We're not dumb.
Now,
Because
my
humans like to
whole,
organize things.
my whole thing that I've quite frankly been very interested in as a scientific concept is, why is there only one universe? Could there be, through a lapse of space and time, many universes or a multiverse?
It doesn't support. Quantum physics doesn't support that theory. It supports.
Quantum physics supports a lot of things that aren't true.
Okay, Dennis.
Quantum physics is very, very finicky.
You know what? When
Yeah,
I grew up, I want to be a niggerologist.
Yeah, but there's a
Yeah,
quantum
See
physics.
an old nigger about to scavenge a welfare check.
As we know it, quantum physics doesn't support or okay, quantum physics doesn't support an alternate universe as we know it.
Well, right, and I would lend most of that idea to the fact that we have such a flawed understanding, or I wouldn't say a flawed, but a basic understanding of the concept of time and a continuum in that manner as a whole. We focus so much on space that we ignore the concept of time completely almost. It's just another tool to mark off a calendar.
Well, okay, then how about we talk about how we know more about space than our own freaking planet?
Exactly.
Because-
Our focus has been completely towards space, and that's because it's been the most immediately useful subject of study.
Disagree with that, but like space doesn't really help us with anything right now.
I don't, because space is the thing that's driven our fucking all of the civilizations on Earth to make most of the advancements that they made in the past 200 years. Not only that, but it's also going to be our salvation if this planet ever goes to shit.
Wait, why is this planet going to shit? We're focusing on space, not our own planet.
Well, no, because
Yes,
planets
it
just
is.
have limited resources. That's kind
Not
of how
if
they
you know
work.
how to use them properly.
That's not true.
Cycle everyone.
Reduce,
Dennis,
reuse, and recycle.
Dennis, you live in one of the most heavily tree-friendly states in the United States. You should understand this.
We have more trees.
I
than we did
understand
before
how renewability works, but the point is when you plug in the numbers to a factor of you cannot reproduce the materials faster than you use them. That's
And why
not
are we using
sustainable.
them so fast?
No, wait, but
Because we need to,
guys,
because we have such a large
guys,
population.
because we have
Oh,
more
right.
trees than we did before the Industrial
Our
Revolution.
population would plummet. Gas the
Guys.
Jews and burn the blacks. That's my
Guys,
it's
we
my
have
salvation
We have
tip.
more trees here. We have more trees on Earth than we did before the Industrial Revolution. Now. Did you know that?
We needed them. But now that we're tearing down a ton of it and not replacing it, we're having an issue with it.
That's not true. In
Really?
fact,
Tell me deforestation isn't a problem in areas where acres and acres of fucking trees are coming down.
Problem.
Well, that's because they're either replanted in other areas or
No, they're not.
We don't
My
do that.
God, we do not replant.
Okay,
We have
then,
more
so
trees now
wildlife.
than
So
we
what you're
have
telling me,
ever.
There are species missing from the planet because we didn't replant. Why do you think species go extinct?
because of other environmental factors.
Because of the
Oh,
Africans dying
because,
of Ebola.
cutting down their
You're gonna believe
home
in, you're gonna
and
believe
removing
in
their
that,
home.
but okay, they didn't adapt.
Okay, listen. If a species is too dumb to move to another area that is directly
What happens when
adjacent
all
where
the
there are
areas?
trees-
What happens when all the areas aren't the same as the
That
home?
won't happen.
You realize Brazilian rainbow boas can live in a 10-degree window, right?
You
Then they need to adapt.
You do realize that statistically, though, what you're saying is untrue because there are more trees now than there were before the Industrial Revolution.
True,
Yeah.
because we needed them, but we don't replant them is the issue.
Okay, why are there more if
Yeah,
we're taking more than we ever have and not replanting them? Tell me how that works on a mathematical scale.
I don't understand. Before the Industrial Revolution, we didn't use that many trees before then.
I mean, we did, but we had a much slower way of
Yeah,
harvesting
of
them.
course. We had to cut them down manually.
Not only that, but we didn't know what conservationism was in the first place, so we never bothered to replant them then.
We also don't burn. We also prevent forest fires now. You know how many
Yeah.
forest fires there used to be before the Industrial Revolution? Those don't happen anymore.
Again, you're
That's
talking to a person who, again, studying for environmental studies.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and you
here's
don't
another
seem to know
thing,
very
is
much about the environment.
And you're
Well-
about to get muted.
Well, another problem too is the EPA just drags their ass on things.
Very true statement, Dennis. I will agree with that one.
I mean, they literally just take government funding because all they are is a bunch of lobbyists who try and fucking talk to bleeding heart Democrats in order to get more research money to spend on fucking lavish parties. They don't do anything for the environment. They're literally the most useless fucking office that I can think of in the entirety of the United States government.
Mhm. No, I'm not. I never said I support the EPA for one. hate to
Well, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is this talk of conservationism and all that, the one office that's supposed to be doing it is so fucking terrible at managing it doing so that they're essentially redundant. And beyond that, even without their existence, your whole point of conservationism from a mathematical standpoint just isn't supported. Like,
so what we're saying is kill all the natives in Africa because they're poaching all the animals. Got it.
I'm gonna lay this out for you in a very simple manner. The rainforests are disappearing in South America because they're not doing the things that other modern civilized countries are doing when it comes to deforesting an area, which is replanting them.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is a lot of the like companies that cut down trees. I'm not saying all of them. A lot of them do not replant.
It's not even a lot of them. It's based on where there are laws that allow those kind of things.
Yeah, Brazil's
US,
pretty corrupt.
That's not legal. Yeah, in the U.S.,
Brazil
that's not legal.
Brazil
you
doesn't
have
have a
to
government.
Well, yeah, and
They
I
don't.
agree that the U.S. has it right.
Like
I feel
the
that if you
US
cut down and use materials, you should at least replace them. I know there's a place in Asia that's actually reduced their carbon footprint on the world to 0.
Well, what I'm going to say too, though, is I say that things are limited resources because they are. That's another inarguable fact. Resources are limited. You can put in, you can take out, sure. But what I'm saying is when it comes to lumber, let's use lumber as an example. Before that tree is even harvestable, it has to be so many fucking years old. Otherwise, you're just plucking out a goddamn sapling. So when you're using trees at a rate to where you can't replenish them fast enough, which is, even if we were to go down to a base number, voiding we're using it for luxury, you're still going to run into the problem of, in terms of people per supply and demand, you're going to be using them faster than you can replace them. Resources are limited, and that's why you displace populations to other places that can support said populations with said limited resources so that they aren't taken faster than they can be replaced. Now, the problem with Earth is it's not a problem of, we can't fit these people in a square area. It's a problem of we don't have enough of these resources to support this population as it continues to grow because we haven't hit the biological hard cap of the fucking ecosystem yet. See, that's going to happen when people start starving to death because there's not enough food, or freezing to death because there's not enough heating.
Well, that's kind of a country's problem, and that's kind
It's
of
not a country's problem; it's an evolutionary problem.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just saying, a country like Brazil that doesn't know how to do anything is just going to.
Well, they're going to get a fucking real quick taste of what Darwinism is once they start running out of the resources that they're selling off so quick.
But the thing is, then other countries are going to be like, we'll take you, and then we'll have that burden, and then
Well, here's what
you just raid them, kill everyone there, and steal their resources.
Jack,
Well,
I wish we could do that.
Here's what I'm saying is, like, places that mismanage their resources and have no fucking care for the things that they do have should be given better management. And that's not saying, okay, let's drop care packages. That's saying, okay, let's go in, institute a deal with them to annex them, and then properly use those resources.
Make sure that's charging at all the way up on the top.
I mean, like, places like Africa would be so much better if a more developed country just said, all right, you know what, we'll buy you off.
Man, I wish Britain still owned, back before World War II when Africa was actually
South America?
when Africa was actually
South Africa?
well, not just South Africa. Belgium owned like half of Africa, and it worked pretty well. South Africa.
It has nothing to do with the people in the country, but moreover the fact that the infrastructure has not caught up to the times. Therefore, the people of the country have no ability to catch up to the times.
Yeah.
Because how are you going to teach your typical African child whose basic needs aren't being met as it is, how basic mathematics, let alone economics or the concept of conservation.
And this
They're
is
not
why you
gonna
can't just
be able
give
to.
thing. This is why you can't just give thing. Like when people go to Africa and like Africa charities, they don't do anything that doesn't help. Besides
You're putting
local,
you're putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound because a gunshot wound is much deeper than a scratch.
well, that yes, and you're
Ow, foot asleep. Foot asleep.
usually just
Like,
do
don't
stuff.
get me wrong. I feel bad for said countries, but if you're not going to set them up to where they can succeed on their own, all you're doing is just holding off their inevitable decline.
And we didn't really, when Britain left, they didn't really set anything up. They just left.
I mean, because they wanted them out. They weren't gonna. They
they were
gonna take
forced
help.
out via
Yeah, they were.
revolution.
Well, yeah, but even then, certain places wanted help and Britain denied it.
Well, what are you gonna do? Like, are you going to be like, okay, yeah, we'll still retain some control over these areas, so that then the rebels can come in and kick our ass a second time?
Not if you set something up at a decent point.
No, they did
They
not
weren't-
want them. They did not. There is
There
no
was no
possible
point.
way they were going to either. They were going to help set something up or leave.
That's
just
kind of like saying okay, 12 of the 13 colonies want us out, but one wants us to be in there. We're going to go in and maintain control of that. The other 12 are going to be like, no, get the fuck off our land.
There's a reason
and-
we're not in Liberia too much anymore. Except Liberia. Okay. Sorry.
Like, political landscapes are just fucking awful things for actually setting up a nation to succeed in a way. As much as politics and infrastructure are needed for a country, if a country doesn't have a strong political backbone and the infrastructure to match, it's just not going to go anywhere.
Look at South Vietnam. That's my favorite example. They get taken over by commies because we can't support them. Poor South Vietnam.
Yeah. Those commies.
I don't really understand why people say, "Oh, well, we have all these issues, and just this one simple action will fix it." It's never that simple.
I remember-
really never.
I remember the saying. With Britain helping, it's not white men's burden, which is the reason they wanted them out of the place in the first place, because they didn't want to be like, oh, white men's burden. Oh, the saying.
I mean, like, and the biggest thing that we face in terms of, like, say, energy conservation as an issue is, oh, the world would be better if you just stopped consuming as many resources and driving your cars to work. It's like,
Actually,
okay,
in all fairness, cars produce much less a carbon footprint than a cow. So I mean, it doesn't even make.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
because
but
the main problem when it comes to ozone pollution is actually large factories. But the thing is in order for us to say, okay, we're just going to shut down these factories because they're so dirty to the environment, it would essentially be saying, you know what, fuck you, human race, you can't produce anything anymore because you need those factories.
But some factories have changed to where they don't pollute nearly as much as they used to.
Yeah.
Nearly as much, yes, but at
There's
that
still always going to be a slight pollution. But I mean, look what happens when we cut out. What was it? That was.
I mean,
am I
you can
saying
be a
that
mess
we
like
can do better?
Germany where you have to pay people to take your electricity that you're producing too much of, and then you're not making enough electricity, so it's really expensive some days.
Like, here's
Germany's
my
a mess
thing though.
with their
We could
environmental
always be
stuff.
better about these things, but you know how you fix these issues? You pile fucking money into energy companies and into factories so that they have the money to afford cleaner energy technologies. You don't do it by bitching about them and then boycotting them so they don't have the money for these technologies.
Or maybe they can just work for one.
Well, they do. In fact, that's kind of the whole point. The point being is there's also the other side of the coin, where is if they're making enough money while not having to comply with these things, then they're obviously going to try and void the bill. So it comes down
I feel there's a lot more stuff we could do environmentally to save this planet to make it last longer, but at the same time, a lot of people don't.
You know
I
what would
just wanna
really
get to a
help
different
is if we
planet.
get. You know what would really help is if we could just come to our planet and move half of our population there. Wow, look at that! Half of all the negative things that humanity brought completely gone.
Well, we need. I don't like saying that, but I really wish we had another planet. But Africa is such a resource-rich place, and it really bothers me how bad it's handled. How we
No.
just leave it there. It's such a
I'm
beautiful.
just gonna.
Cartels.
I'm just saying though that it's basic logic that if something is overburdened, you want to jettison that burden. Now, applying this to humanity in outer space, if we develop the ability to terraform, not only would that mean great things for our planet in and of itself, but we could then go to other planets and make them livable and tap into all those resources.
Of course,
And if
and that's why you want to
if
get
we
to
keep-
space.
Well, yeah, that's exactly why space is the main focus. I completely get it because, yeah, we don't know much about the bottoms of our oceans, but quite frankly, what is the statistical chance that we're going to find something useful down there as opposed to outer space?
A new animal.
Tell you, not likely.
Have you heard about seaweed farms? Underground seaweed farms?
Yes, I have.
What?
I like those.
I'm
But
not
I
like
mean-
I'm not like a super priority on renewable energy guy like you guys are. I don't really,
What do you mean
Care that
about
much.
seaweed farms?
but like seaweed stuff like that where it actually works and it's not like a novelty like solar panels are currently.
Yeah.
And windmills that I passed a few hundred windmills on my way to North Dakota. It was windy. And none of them were able to turn on because it was too windy.
Well, not only that, but wind farms, even under the best conditions, produce such little energy in
know.
comparison to other forces,
And
and
they're,
they kill more birds than they're actually.
and they're
worth.
inefficient to create.
Yep.
Very
They're
true.
just
I hate wind energy. Like even as an environmentalist,
Are
like
completely
wind
hate
energy
it.
and solar energy are the most
Besides, like-
inefficient in terms of like production that it's sad. It's fucking sad.
it's all novelty right now. It doesn't. It's
But I
like
don't
it's
get it.
not
Why
fun.
we don't? Why don't? I like what Tesla's doing though, making it so that you can have a battery on your house that literally
Tesla.
lasts an entire year.
Tesla is one of the best, fastest growing companies. Like I said, I don't really care about stuff like too much, but like
Like
I think it's
I
amazing.
honestly-
Tesla competes with, by itself without with like car companies without like the government having to give it money, and
See-
which I love.
the saddest thing is that if we could abandon greed, we would have our energy problem solved almost instantly.
If we can ban
Because
them, what?
we have greed.
Yeah,
See,
then,
if
then
we could-
communism would work.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, if we could bust up the energy monopoly, we could actually make energy free, and
The
it would
energy,
be
Dennis, the energy monopoly is government subsidized. I don't think you realize.
Okay.
There's a
Well,
reason-
let's
Dennis,
talk about how the
We-
fact
We
that Nikola
Energies-
Tesla
We
made an
Energies is
idea
a
which
private
you could make.
corporation funded by the state.
Okay, now let's talk about the fact that if we got rid of those companies and created a Tesla superconductor and powered it with a couple nuclear plants, which there are already nuclear plants in the U.S. Oh boy, build a couple and attach it to this bad boy. We could pretty much create a static field around the United States that they're direct currents. Build a lot of our modern day commodities, such as appliances and all that, to be able to receive these signals, and boom, instant power to everything.
Oh boy, now we just have to invent all of that.
Oh
It's already
boy,
been invented.
Nikola Tesla already did.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla already had everything set. He just couldn't because of the energy monopolies.
Well, not only
I mean,
that, but
You have to research further into that.
You
It's
know,
not.
guys.
It's not
All
as
we
easy
need
as
is
it
this.
and they're not gonna The thing is they're not gonna do that because they're making too much money this way. Why would you cut into profit?
Why not? That's the real answer.
Because money
Here's the
drives this
thing.
world.
Here's the thing.
I have nothing against capitalism, but the government needs to get their fucking hands out of everything. Like we need to make it to where banks don't need bailouts. That's fucking stupid.
Well, yeah,
Energy companies don't need to be fucking government subsidiaries. They should be able to compete in an open market too.
but they
I
don't
mean,
have to,
it's
so-
easy to say open market for anything. Applying it is an entirely different story.
Well,
Oh, hey, what's
it's
up,
hard.
Saul?
It's
Yeah, I
almost
just came into the middle of this, and I love when people say open market.
It's almost impossible to apply to the market now.
My
because of-
cock is an open market.
Well,
because of how
see,
much the government's
here's
allowed it.
here's the thing. I'm not talking about a anything goes market. That's fucking stupid. There obviously need to be regulations, but when the government is literally handing out money to businesses because they can't support themselves because of the way that they've structured things, i.e., creating subsidiaries, that's fucking stupid.
The only thing government should be doing like that is, for example, giving a tax break for a foreign company to set up a temporary tax break for a foreign company to set up here, just as an incentive. That's the only thing the government should be doing.
You know how you do that. You stop fucking highballing taxes towards the wealthy and corporations and make everyone pay the same tax rate.
Yeah, but everybody knows that. But
Even
the same
though-
way, if you were one of those making, top 2% in the nation, and you're paying the same tax rate as the people that make $40,000 a year, and you make $40 million a year, it's
That's a lot of money.
it's a lot more. They already pay a lot more in taxes.
Yeah,
It's a
they make
proven,
more,
it's
right?
a proven economic fact that if 80% of the people paid the same tax rate as the top
God, that's
2%,
not proven.
the
That's theorized.
the
That's not proven.
the government would actually be making more money because
I don't know
it's
how-
simple. It's simple numbers over. It's simple small numbers, but many small numbers over. Oh, we have a few large numbers.
have you guys heard of the Laffer curve? That's not really taught in economics, I don't think, anymore. The Laffer curve. It's about taxes. It's kind of it's a Reagan economics thing.
Same.
I'm tired. I had a 9-hour drive today. That was fun. Anyway, what was I talking about? I already forgot. Taxes, the Laffer curve.
Death and taxes, the only two things that are guaranteed in life.
Let me find this. Here. I should put in there. That's just the first thing I saw.
I'll be back.
The tax revenue tax rate thing is if you.
All right. I'm actually gonna dip out. Sorry, guys.
Where you going, Denise?
Sam needs to tell me about something.
Okay.
I guess
Tell him I said hi. Tell him I'm back.
I guess
Okay.
This isn't CNN because we actually talked about real stuff.
Yeah, we actually talked about real issue rather than why Trump likes
Two
to
scoops.
with,
Two scoops.
see,
segment the real CNN.
well, moreover, we're just a bunch of bumblefucks with our own opinions on fucking things that we scarcely understand without numbers readily in front of us, which, to be fair, is pretty much everybody who isn't completely and utterly researched and devoted to a topic their entire life. So, it's literally just, oh, hey guys, look at this study that came out. Some people are going to be like, okay, using this study's information, I surmise this, and some people are going to say, well, there's flawed methodology in said study. But the point being is, empirical data is empirical data, but perception of empirical data is always just going to be just that as well.
Open market.
So yeah, a term that is overused, probably even by myself, but at the same time holds so many different connotative meanings.
And it works. for most stuff. Oh, I'm a true
But yeah.
capitalist.
I will be back later, boys.
All right.
Alrighty.
Alright.
Also, it's insulting to call us CNN News. We're not talking about gender picks.
2 scoops.
We're more like Fox News. Got him.
Yeah, I like Fox News. Like, it's still the most watched thing in the nation.
Snowflake alert. Snowflake alert. Snowflake
Anyone who says
alert.
Fox News is like
Okay.
the worst
mean-
hasn't seen CNN.
You guys
I
wanna
mean-
see, MSNBC?
Oh my god. No, please.
I'd rather be Fox News.
I'd rather be Fox.
Yeah, I would rather be Fox
Can we
News.
be,
even if
the
they are
round
the
table?
conservative CNN.
Name the segment The Real Fox News.
The real Fox.
It can be Infowars.
I can't actually say Fox News because it's copyright itself.
Got
See your
it.
ass.
See you, boys.
Can we be Infowars?
You guys in a mission?
Yeah, we'll be done shortly.